It is a story that we first broke right here on NBC 10 Boston. Now it is making international headlines. American tourists are facing 12-year prison sentences in Turks and Caicos Islands. Consumer investigative reporter Leslie Gatiss spoke exclusively with the mother of an American who was sentenced to 8 months in prison last year. Leslie, this is a gut-wrenching story, and we hear you have an update.
I do. You know, Turks and Caicos Islands authorities recently tightened up their firearms and ammunition laws. Several Americans are currently charged and facing that 12-year prison sentence. An Indiana mother whose son went through this last year says it was an awful experience that she is still recovering from.
It's very heartbreaking because I know the pain that they're going through.
Teresa Pfau is closely following the story of Americans Ryan Watson and Brian Hagerich, who are currently detained in the Turks and Caicos Islands on possession of ammunition charges. Her son, Michael Grimm, was sentenced to 8 months in prison for the same offense last August. All were vacationing and say they mistakenly brought ammunition onto the island that was in their bags from previous trips.
He did not have a gun. There was no violence involved. So we really did hold out hope that he would possibly get a very hefty fine. But once everything was set into motion, it was a devastating experience.
Pfau says they spent more than $100,000 on an extended stay, bail money, and attorney fees, and were very worried about Michael's safety.
It was the hardest time in my life to see him or speak with him was the biggest, I think, barrier. And then knowing the conditions, the prison had been sanctioned by the UN for unsanitary conditions, just trying to keep tabs on, is he safe? Is he healthy?
Michael Grimm spent more than 5 months in HM prison in Grand Turk before he was released in February. She says they are both still processing what was a traumatic experience.
We both have sought professional services to help us deal with this trauma and this PTSD. It's not behind us, so we're just trying to figure out how we can be helpful to others who may be in this situation. We don't want anyone else to ever have to experience this.
At a State Department press conference today, a spokesperson said they are aware of the arrests of U.S. citizens.
We stand by ready to provide all appropriate consular assistance, but in a foreign country, U.S. citizens are subject to the country's laws.
Today, the U.S. Embassy in the Bahamas reissued an alert urging travelers going to TCI to carefully check their luggage for stray ammunition or forgotten weapons before departing the U.S. And the Turks and Caicos Director of Public Prosecutions issued a statement saying the island's firearm ordinance requires the Supreme Court to impose a mandatory minimum sentence. They say there are 5 cases where the court did find exceptional circumstances. 4 of those people were fined. One, Michael Grimm, received a prison sentence below the minimum 12 years. TCI officials confirmed that there have been 8 recent prosecutions involving American tourists. 3 cases are currently before the court. Each of the defendants are out on bail, including Ryan Watson, who was granted bail today, but he is not allowed to leave the island. In studio, Leslie Gatiss, NBC 10 Boston.